Hello everyone! First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Ripka Haryanti. I'm from class A afternoon and today I want to explain about English semantic. Okay, before we continue the material, we need to know what is semantic. Semantic is central to the study of communication, and as communication becomes more and more a crucial factor in social organization, the need to understand it becomes more and more pressing. Next, basic term in semantic. There are 6 basic terms in semantic. The first sentences, utterance, paraphrase, preposition, entailment, sense and reference. Okay, let's see what is sentence. A sentence is a set of complete words typically containing a subject and predicate, conveying a set statement, question, explanation, or comment, and consisting of a main clause and sometimes one or more subordinate clause. Okay, next, utterance. An utterance is a bit of spoken language. Next, paraphrase. A paraphrase is a restatement or rewording of a paragraph or text to borrow, clarify, or expand on information without plagiarizing. Next, postposition. A proposition is the meaning of a declarative sentences. In philosophy, meaning is understood to be a non-linguistic entity that is shared by all sentences with the same meaning. Okay, next, entailment. What is entailment? Entailment is the principle that under certain conditions the truth of one statement ensure the truth of second statement. Okay, the last, sense and reference. Sense is factually by which the body prefers an external stimulus. Okay, and the last, reference is something that the information provider uses to support or reinforce a statement expressly. Okay, next, some type of meaning, that is literal, figurative, denotative, and connotative. The literal meaning is the basic or usual meaning of a word, and figurative meaning is the different from the usual meaning. Figurative can make a mental images for readers and or listener. And next, denotative. The denotative of a word is the core, central, or referential meaning of the word found in a dictionary. And the last, connotative. The connotative of a word is the additional meaning that the word has beyond the denotative meaning. Okay, next, sense or word, sentence or word meaning, and speaker meaning. What is sentence word? Sentences meaning? Sentences meaning is what a sentence or word means, and speaker meaning is what the speaker means when he or she use a piece of language. Okay, next, basic notion in semantic. Okay, the first aspect of semantic knowledge. Semantic knowledge refers to general knowledge and features that make up concepts that people have acquired and abstract from their experience. Okay, let's see the first, anomaly, that speakers know whether something is or is not meaningful in their language. Okay, next, paraphrase, speak of a language agree as to when two sentences have essentially the same meaning and when they don't. Okay, next, synonymy, that is speakers generally agree when two words have essentially the same meaning in a given context. Next, contradictory. That is, speakers recognize when the meaning of one sentence contradicts another sentence. Yeah. Okay, next, antonymy. A speaker generally agrees when two words have opposite meaning in a given context. Next, ambiguity. That is, some sentences have a double meaning. They can be interpreted in two ways. Okay, next, entailment. Entailment is speakers are aware that two statements may be related in such a way that if one is true, the other must also be true. Okay, in the last, presupposition. That is, speaker know that the message conveyed in one sentence may presuppose other pieces of knowledge. Okay, next, utterances, sentences, and propositions. That is, what is utterances? Utterances is deal with spoken, and sentences are the basic unit of language that expresses a complete thought. And the last, proposition is the meaning of a declarative sentence. Okay, next. Okay, there is reference and sense. Let's see. The first, variable and constant reference, referent and sense referring and non-referring expression. A variable reference is any expression with more than one or many potential referents. There are types of linguistic expression which are also referred to as referent form. The form of the reference expression in question is constant and variable. The expression other have context-dependent references, but the different expression have a complete context-dependent meaning. Expressions like the Pacific Ocean, a type of expression that has content reference because the Pacific Ocean is a form of expression one tangible objects. Whereas expression like me, you, him, them, we are said to have a variable reference that identifies or indicates who is referred to by the word replace what has been said. The form of variable in question, of course, need a context in inform the word spoken to reverse to someone. Sense referring and non-referring expression. A referring expression is a piece of language, a noun phrase that is used in utterance and is like to something outside language, some living or that is imaginary entity or concept or group of entities or concept. That something is the referent, not necessarily physical or nor necessarily real. A referent is a correct object or concept that is designed by a word of expression. Okay, next, why of referring. Why of referring? There are three kinds of referring expression. Proper noun, which have a unique reference like Barbara Collins or like Ontario. Pronouns such as she, han, they, which we discussed below, like anaphora and noun phrase that have nouns with variable reference as had, preceded by determiner, and possibly followed by one or more complements like The examiner had compliment a cat that room in the corner, your home, some question to be answered, or the plate that is broken that you mentioned. Some conflict can be reduced and become modified in the pre-had possession. Okay, next, opaque context. What is opaque context? So, an opaque context is a linguistic context in which it is not always possible to substitute co-referential expression without altering the truth of sentences. The expressions involved are usually grammatically singular term, so the substitution of co-referential expression into a opaque context doesn't always preserve truth. Example: Louis believes X is a hero. Is an opaque context because Louis believes Superman is a hero. It's true why Louis believes Clark Kent is a hero. It's false even though Superman and Clark Kent are co-referential expressions. Next, equative sentences. An equative sentences is used to assert two reference expressions have the same referent. The term equative is used in linguistics to refer the constructions where two entities are equated with each other. For example, the sentence Susan is our president equates two entities Susan and our president. Okay, next, material. Predicate. Predicated versus in English versus predicated in semantic versus syntax. Okay, the predicate is important part of sentence. In syntax, it's clear that a predicate is generally understood to be realized as a verb. The predicate is one of the basic part, and while the predicate is one of basic part of semantics that associates with the referring expression or argument. The predicate has the function to identify a role that argument has in the particular situation of the sentence. It means the syntax and semantics can be separate in sentence because the two are interrelated. The meaning of sentence, which is semantic, has the account of different forms of the same word, like cat, or connect and connecting, which is a rule in syntax. In this case, while semantics deal with meaning, and syntax deal with the structure of meaning. Okay, next. Predicate, predicator, and argument. The predicate is any word that can function as the predicator. For example, a tall beery burger entered the class. Tall beery burger and class are predicates. Next, the predicator of a simple declarative sentence is word that doesn't belong to any of the referring expression and which of the remainder makes the most specific contribution to the meaning of the sentence. For example, you are smart. Reminder, are smart is the predicator. Okay, next. Okay, argument. An argument is a statement or set of statements that you use in order to try to convince people that your opinion about something is correct. Okay, next. Degree of predicate or valency. Degree of predicate is number one, indicating the number of arguments it is normally understood to have in simple sentences. Example, this movie is amazing. Amazing is a predicate of agree one place predicate. For another example, Sinta brings an apple. Bring is a predicate of degree 2. And the last, the teacher gives me a card. Give is a predicate of degree 3. Degree 3 plus predicate. Okay, next. Some change in valency. The sentence is less informative when it has fewer arguments, but it's still a legitimate sentence, and that meaning and the meaning of right doesn't change. Like Nana wrote her mother a letter. That is a full sentence. And let's see in Nana wrote her mother a letter. That is word. I think it sounds like right. Okay. Next, deixis. What is deixis? Deixis is the reference by means of an expression whose interpretation is relative of two usually extra-linguistic contexts of the utterances. Text is a part of the reference. In pragmatic studies, reference and deixis are seen as a phenomena of lingual reference to something so that the speech partner or readers can identify it. To the extent, there is no difference between reference and deixis. The difference between the two lies in the breadth of their respective file or of reference. References have a wider file of reference, while include some things that is certainly a defined reference, which is not necessarily of identified reference and a generic reference, while the reference that exists is limited to certain ones. Okay, next. Deictic element, context of utterance and definiteness. Deictic element. The deictic element of a language are the linguistic form relating to utterance to a particular time, place, speaker, or discourse context. Next, context of utterance. The context of utterance in this sense is often defined as the set of assumptions that the speaker suppose he or she shares with the hearer. Next, definiteness. Definiteness is a semantic feature of non-phrase. Distinguishing between reference or sense that are identifiable in a given context and those which are not. Okay, next, clarification of deixis. The first personal. The personal reflecting to person or who. Next, place, reflecting to the place like where. And the last time, reflecting to time, it means who or when. Next, anapora. Anapora is the repetitions of word or paraphrase in a group of sentences, clauses, or poetic lines. Example, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it is the size of the fight in the dog, by Mark Twain. Okay, next. Referential ambiguity. Referential ambiguity areas whenever readers or listeners are unable to select a unique reference for a linguistic expression out of multiple candidates. In the current article, we review a series of neurocognitive experiments from our laboratory that examine the neural correlate of referential ambiguity and employ the brain signature of referential ambiguity to define functional properties of the language conversion system. The result of our experiment confirms it to show that referential ambiguity resolution involves making an inference to evaluate the referential candidates. Thus, inferences only take place when both referential candidates are less initially equally and yeah. Okay, next. Lexical relation 1. Okay, the first word from lexeme, lexicon. Lexeme is a theoretical construct stand for a unitary meaning and shares syntactic properties of a group of word forms. A lexeme belongs to a particular syntactic category, has a certain meaning, semantic value, and in reflecting language has a corresponding inflectional paradigm. That is, a lexeme in many languages will have a different forms. For example, the lexeme run has a language will have many different forms. For example, a lexeme run has a present third person singular form run, a person on third person singular form run, which also function as the past participle and non-finite form. Okay, next. Lexicon. A lexicon is the vocabulary of a language or branch of knowledge, such as natural or medical. Linguistic theorists generally regard human language as consisting of two parts, a lexicon and then essentially of catalog of language word and a grammar system of rules which allow for a combination of those words into meaningful sentences. The lexicon is also to the include bond of morpheme which can stand alone as a word. Okay, next. Semantic file theory versus truth conditional semantic. Semantic field theory attempt to clarify lexemes according to certain differentiating feature, while truth conditional semantics comparing predictions can be made about the same referring expression, account for the meaning relation between different expressions in a language. Okay, next. Parallel phrases, entitlements, and contradictions. I think we can explain it. I be done with the material. I mean, like in parallel phrases, entitlement, and contradiction. I told you before. Okay. Next, lexical relations. It's homonymy, polysemy, synonymy, and hyponymy. Okay, let's see homonymy. Homonymy is a relation that holds between two lexemes that have the same form and unrelated meanings. Homonymy are the words that have same phonic form but the different unrelated meanings. Okay. The ambiguous word whose different sense are far apart from each other and are not obviously related to each other in the way is called as homonymy. For example, the word bear as a verb means to carry, and as a noun it means a large animal. Next, a polysemy. A polysemy, the phenomenon of having or being open to several or many meanings. When a word has several very closely related sentences or meanings. Polysemous word is a word having two or more meanings. For example, food. In example, he hurt his foot. And she stood at the foot at the stair. Okay, next. Synonymy. Synonymy is a precisely or positively substituting word in given context without altering an the objective and altered effective meaning. Inversely, the incredible character of the phenomena of synonymy is confirmed by possibility of proving synonymous for the various acceptation of a single word. Okay, example like pay instead of submit minutes of 4 minutes or each other. Next, hyponymy. Hyponymy is a sense relations in semantics that serves to relate word concept in a hierarchical fashion. Hyponymy is a relation between two words in which the meaning of one of the words includes the meaning of the other word. The lexical relations corresponding to the inclusion of one class in another is hyponymy. Examples are apple is fruit, tool as a furniture, and cow an animal. Okay, next, lexical relation 2. Let's see. What is antonymy? Antonymy in semantics refers to words that have opposite meaning. These are usually in pair. For example, whole and cool, tall and short, and answer and ask, no or no and then. Okay, let's see kind of antonymy. Complementary pairs, gradable pairs, and relation opposite. Let's see. What the first? Okay, gradable antonyms. Imagine you're looking at the room thermometer. If the indicator is the bottom of the thermometer is tall, you have the room is cool. If it's the top, the room is the hot. However, the thermometer can also indicate warm in temperature when his indicator is in the middle. Next, complementary antonyms. Complementary antonyms explain an either or relationship between the opposite word pairs. Remember, when you have to answer true or false question on test, this is an example of an elementary antonym. There are only two options, either true or false. And the last, relations or converse antonyms. Relations antonyms show a dependent relationship between opposite words. A word from the pair can exist without the other. For example, like open and close. Example for sentence: a shop owner must first open the shop before they can close it. Other example: include husband and wife from and back, and doctor and patient. Okay, next. Antonymous relations. Binary or non-binary antonyms and converses. Binary, also called hemisphere antonym, is two words that are opposite and can be measured, like on and off in an electric light or a radio or television set is either on or off. See the cycle above, that on live. Okay. This word called binary because the word that is alive as its opposite. Binary antonyms don't accept modifier. An organism is either dead or alive. A door is either open or shut. A floor is either clean and dirty. One is either asleep or awake, but in language there is no logic. Whereas non-binary are also called polar antonyms, are the two words that are opposite and can be measured or relate with exact measurement. The term old and young non-binary antonyms. And so were wide and narrow, they are opposite ends to select the include various intermediate terms. Okay, next, symmetry and reciprocity. Symmetries reflects a semantic property that may appear with any binary predicate in principle. Reciprocal alternation only concern predicates whose morpho syntax support multiple subcategories and frames. Given this, it is remarkable that most symmetric predicates in English predicate in reciprocal alternance. Okay, next, participant rule. The participant rule is the rule in the semantic as the possessions or a rule that is associated with argument. The participant rule is the rule that is conducted by the person or the thing to describe the referring expression in a particular situation. The grammar. Okay, next, a kind of participant rule. Let's see. The kind of participant rule are addresses, audiences, bystander, ratified participants, source as a participant rule, speaker, target, and ratified participant. Participant rules and grammatical possessions. Semantic rules or SRs are rules the participants play in the event and situation. They are part of contents of linguistic communication. Therefore, they are defined in the term of prototypes. and the label we give them are conveys, approximations. The semantic rules that we will the concert with in this class are taken largely from Bart 1999 with some modification and extensions. We will use the conventions and indicating semantics rule in the capital letters and grammatical relation in lowercase letter. Okay, grammatical relations or GRs are relation between with grammar relations or in the sentence. These are much more clearly defined than semantic rules since they envelop human interaction with the communication contents. Because our mind are finite, we must always curve out. Okay, next, derivations. Derivations is the process of forming words through the addition of affix which can be either prefix and suffix. Okay, let's see. First, prefix. Prefix is the additions of prefix change the meaning of the word, but it doesn't change the type of word. Example, sleep. If we add a in the form, it becomes asleep. Or this means outdoor, outgoing, postpone, and rewrite. And suffix can be used of form nouns, employment, information, and nature. Suffix will change the type of origin, like slow, slowly, slow becomes slowness, or modern, moderness, and glory becomes glorify, and personally, drinkable, or drivers, and writers. Okay, next, morphological, or we can say process of derivations. First, morphological. The definition of morphological is about minimum units of meaning. Morphology could be defined as a branch of linguistics that studies and describes how words are formed and structured in a language. There is a vast list of morphemes and many rules to do with ordering. Best to be familiar with a few examples of noun, adjective, a verb, adjective, verb to noun. Okay, like example, unsystematic. Noun plus adjective becomes systematic, and we add un plus adjectives, so becomes unsystematic. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, the first step attaches the derivation suffix -tic to the free root noun. This form an adjective. The second step takes the adjective and attaches the verification prefix and creating a new word with the same category. Example, again, adding suffix "li" changes adjective to a verb, like slow, add Lee in behind the slow, it becomes slowly. Okay, synthetic. Synthetic as a discipline that look at grammatical fact from their side of their meaning or signification. Therefore, according to Jasper, syntax deals with the grammatical fact taking into account of meaning of word. Based on the definition above, we can conclude synthetic is about sentence structure. Okay, example: beat a that dog cat. Beat the cat. The cat beat a dog. Okay, from the sentence about, all the days have specific and the different meaning. Thus, different meanings come about solely from our combination of words. Next, semantic. Semantics process of verification is about describing of the meaning that are aids new when a verb becomes a noun becomes an adjective, and adjective becomes a verb. Noun reference entities, verb reference activities or stage, and adjective reference qualities or characteristic. When a verb is converted to a noun, the noun may reverse a concrete entity, a person, object, or a place. Okay, next, form of derivation or incotive. Okay, incotive is denoting an aspect of a verb expressing the beginning of an action, typically one or occurring of its own accord. In many English, verb innovative is alternate systematically with causative use. Here is example, like the chemistry professor told his student that under certain conditions, ice will liquid at the temperature greater than 32 degrees F. Okay, next, causative. A causative is a form indicates that the subject causes an act to be performed or condition to come into being. It can be concluded that is called that causative verb is a verb that is used to indicate that the subject makes someone or something form an action. There are two types of causative verbs, such as active and passive. Okay, next, resultative. Resultative is expressive of result. In education, addition, resultative adjective indicating the stage of a noun resulting from the completion of the action expressed by a verb with a blue in Mary painted the pens blue. In linguistics, as a resultative is either an adjective phrase indicating the stage of a noun resulting from the completions of the event denoted by the verb. Okay, next, conversation or zero conversation. Zero conversation. Zero derivations are also non-conversation or functional shift and originate as the term in the 1916. They form part of the study of morphology and help identify new word formations. In linguistics, zero or null is the segment that is not pronouns with written or written. It usually written as a null. Okay, next, semantic and dictionary. First, semantic in universal. A semantic universal is any aspect of meaning that is somehow present in all language. To first characteristic, the two terms of the subject separately. Semantics pertains to conceptual material as it is organized by language. Okay, next, dictionary and its lexical entries. If we know the names of the phrases that we have identified, then finding the head is easy. For example, the head of a determiner phrase is the determiner that head of the verb phrase would be the verb. For a complete guidance with example, please. With examples, okay, its head of a paragraph has its one lexical entry, which is stored in our brain in something linguistic called a lexicon, like a dictionary. It tells us certain features about a head, including where it can be positioned in a sentence. Okay, next, how meanings are arranged in a lexical entry. Lexical rules are rules accounting of the creative or productive aspect of the lexicon, which allow us to form new words or to derive a new meaning for existing word. Obviously, new is a relative term. In this connection, we can know whether a given use a coinage such as the above unique in the history of the English language. But what we can be said is that so far as the user is concerned, it could well be unique. It is an individual employment of a principles or rules which is applicable the user of the language as a means expanding their lexical repertoire. Okay, next, recognizing conversation in a dictionary. The preceding paragraph suffers from an unfortunate ambiguity which attends the use of the term dictionary as of the term grammar. In one sense, a dictionary is a reference book on living room or library shelves. In other sense, it is the inbuilt dictionary which everyone's of use carries around as a part of his mental equipment as a speaker of language. Okay, the last material, speech aids. What is a speech aid? Speech aid is a part of pragmatics where there are certain aims beyond the word or purpose when a speaker says something. Speech aids are aids that refer to the action performed by products utterances. People can be perform an action by saying something. Through speeches, the speaker can convey physical actions merely through word and phrases. Okay, next, performative and quantitative utterance. Performative utterance, speeches that bring about the stage of affair, they name are called performative. Bracing, blessing, like marrying and declaring material. Affirmative utterances are valid if spoken by someone you host right to make them is except in circumstances which are accepted as appropriate. Okay, next. Constructive utterance. In his How to Do Things with Word, Austin point of the it has come to be commonly held that many utterances which look like statements are either not intended at all or only intended in part to record or impact straightforward in informative about the fact. Okay, next. Collocation and elocutions. I'm sorry. Collocations, the act of perlocution is known as the act of affecting someone. The speech uttered by speaker often has an effect or power of influence for those who listen to it. This effect of power of influence can occur because the speaker intentionally or unintentionally created a speech whose utterances are intended to influence the interlocutor are called perlocution age. Okay, next. Elocutionary, the communicative force of utterance we form utterance with some kind of function in mind, and over a statement, a promise, a threat, and other. Elocutionary acts are not easily identified because illusionary acts are related to who is speaking, to whom, when, and where to speeches are performed. Okay? Propositions in relation elocutions. Any kind of proposition he holds has the elocutionary success conditions. The conditions the successful performance of elocutionary acts of the appropriate kind by an utterance of the sentence in question. In this case of the proposed situations of attractive type, this condition is simply that the set of the previous suppositions, I mean the proposition of the satisfied in the given context of utterance, but in this case of propositions or a performative type additional conditions. Okay, I think that's all for me. Thank you for attention and goodbye.